Have you got your handmade products ready to release online? Well, today in this video, I've got 5 key things for you to think about so that you can make sure that you can get the most out of this Christmas rush. My name's Lena and I'm the very proud owner of madeit.com.au, where we have over 700 handmade artisans on the platform. And it's really my mission and my purpose to be able to help guide the artists through being able to sell online and really amplify the results that they're getting as well. Today I'm going to be covering 5 key aspects that you need to really be thinking about in the lead up to your Christmas product release. And if you're there already, that's fantastic, but perhaps you want to have a listen to these as well and just take that extra consideration, because we can also think about actually mapping out our products over a broader amount of time rather than just releasing at one stage. First and foremost, you want to look back. I always like to look back in order to be able to step forward, if that makes sense. And that's looking back to what you did last year and see what worked. Now, if this is your first year in business with your handmade creations, maybe you want to start researching around and having a look at what were the Christmas gifts, what were the Christmas items that really performed in the handmade space. Taking the time to really see what worked last time is giving you the knowledge so that you can start to iterate and swap just slightly and perhaps refine what it is that you're offering for this year in advance. And it's looking into a few different areas, not only the items that worked really well, but perhaps what were the dates that you released them? How did you release them? What were the methods that you did in order for those particular products to succeed? When you're creating new products for your handmade store, you still want to make sure that they make sense with what it is that you do. What I often see with artists is that they get really focused on the sale of Christmas and they tend to forget about their brand and who they are. Now, if you've come up with an idea that you think is going to sell really well, or perhaps you've seen it perform really well with other handmade artisans, it's about taking that time to look at the item and go, then how specifically does that suit what I'm offering? So as an example, if you're a jewelry designer, to start creating something completely random like an ornament which doesn't fit in, that might be a real reach for your customers to understand. And it also means that customers that you might be acquiring this time aren't actually suited to you in the long term. And we really want to be building those long-term relationships with customers. So how could you take the idea of an ornament and really look at making it so that it sits really well within your product offering? Price point is a huge consideration when it comes to selling around Christmas. And some of the things that I like artisans to really think about is that gifts under $50, gifts under $30, or is it gifts under $75? And thinking about what is it that you're creating that sits in those spaces. Quite often there's kind of like an unwritten, understanding amongst your friends and family. Perhaps with your friends it might be like, oh, we get each other a gift that's under $50. With your family it might even be more specific, that on Christmas Day, perhaps you're purchasing one item that's under $30. Now that gives you clues for perhaps the pricing that you might like to think about for the items that you're creating. Now, again, there could be 2 different types of items. You might have those bigger items which are for a really special gift, but those smaller like stocking fillers or those kind of quickie gifts are where you can start to make a bit of traction as well. When you release the product really matters. Now again, you would have already looked back and had a look and seen when you released products last year and when it actually worked, because there's a fine line between releasing too early and releasing too late. So you want to make sure that you've got an idea of all the products that you're planning to make, whether that's 5 or 50, whatever it is that suits for you, and have a look at the dates in which you're going to be releasing it. Now, based on that as well, if you know the release date and you know how long it's going to take you to make the products, you can sort of start mapping back. You go, okay, there's the release date, take back 2 weeks because I'm going to need to make the item, but I'm also going to need to take the time to actually get the imagery and write up all the descriptions and load it online to get it ready. So when you're going to release is a really important piece of the puzzle to be able to then map back to step forward. If you've got that time to create something new, one of the biggest things that I think is worth considering is about how that item's actually going to be sent. Now, depending on where you are and depending on who you use for your posts, there's going to be different aspects that you need to consider. But regardless of that, whichever post shipping option that you're using, they'll have specific sizes and dimensions and weights that'll work best for you on a price point. So maybe you want to be able to include free shipping. Well, if that's the case, then have a think about how am I actually going to be shipping that item once the customer orders. And if it just fit into one box slightly smaller, it may have a huge impact on that pricing for you. If you're wanting to really amplify what you're doing with your product imagery, I encourage you to go down below and check out the link where you've got access to the free guide that we've made specifically for handmade artisans, so that you can really look at different tips and tricks, and also the images that you must have with your products online, and what that fine line is between not enough images and also too many. So I'm Lena, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe so that you can start to get more tips and tricks and strategies on building your handmade artisan business online.